We're here today to review the Codeable lock. Specifically, we want to discuss some of the components contained within the cylinder, some of its benefits, and the coating procedure itself. Now, the first thing you may notice is on all Codeable cylinders, they have an outer sticker which is placed on the keyway of the cap. There are 4 different colors, and the sticker color indicates the make of the Codeable cylinder itself. A blue sticker signifies that this is a Chrysler-based lock. Yellow would indicate that it's a GM-based lock. Tan or brown would indicate that it is Ford-based. And finally, red would indicate that it's a Toyota lock. So now for presentation purposes, I've taken the liberty of loosening this so we can kind of get a better visual of the cylinder itself. But you may notice that the diameter of this outer face here appears to be larger than what one may be accustomed to in the automotive, visually for an automotive cylinder. It is a little bit larger than some of the automotive based, but many today are this diameter. This is about 25.4 millimeters. Now when we rotate the cylinder, again, it may appear to be visually larger than what someone may be accustomed to with a lock cylinder. It is. This is a from the inner, I'll call it, sealing of the case, which butts up against the cap, to the back edge of the driver here. This is 44.2 millimeters, roughly 1.75 inches. Traditional base lock is probably about 1.5 inches, or approximately 38.1 inches. Some of the components contained within the Codeable cylinder itself are very similar to what has been in the marketplace for some time. Automotive-based cylinders traditionally use an outer case, and when I refer to the outer case, I'm talking about this shell here. In addition to the case, internally, you can see this piece protruding from the backside. Let me rotate this a little bit so you can get a better visual of this. That back image there, the piece protruding through the back, is what is commonly known as the lock cylinder itself. Some may refer to it as the plug. It essentially houses or contains the guts of the lock itself, meaning the tumblers used for coating, springs, essentially any of the components that go inside of a case of an automotive lock. So some of the components that are in this cylinder are unique to Codeable itself. Specifically, within here there is a sidebar. Some automotive manufacturers do use this, but this one is somewhat unique. The sidebar is used as an anti-picking device or a deterrent, essentially, to picking. What it does is if a key that is not the appropriate key for the given cylinder is used, the sidebar will not disengage from the outer case. So if a key is inserted and the lock understands that it's not the appropriate key, the sidebar will not disengage with the lock cylinder. So in other words, it won't be allowed to spin. In addition to the sidebar, the Codeable lock has what is known as a carrier. The carrier is nestled within the cylinder itself. So this piece here, it's attached to this piece, and the cylinder, the carrier houses what are known as code bars. If you picture small little combs, cold bars are again within the carrier, and as the lock cylinder is rotated, the cold bars come down off the carrier, being pushed down by the sidebar and engage with tumblers. So they align the tumblers based on the notching of the key. Okay. So when I refer to notching, or the keyway, I am suggesting this right here. This is the notches of a key. Okay. In a traditional lock set, tumblers have to align with the spacing, the height, etc. of these notches. Codeable lock, I'll suggest that tumblers are generic, and they learn the key based on the code bars engaging at the different notch lengths and depths. Okay, so when the sidebar determines that it is the appropriate key that's being rotated, code bars come down and they learn the notching of that key. So those are some of the components of the codeable cylinder itself. Now, what are the benefits? The benefits of the codeable lock are it allows a user to have essentially one key for all of its accessory components. You know, if you think of a commercial type vehicle, such as a Class 6 through 8 heavy truck or a work truck, within that vehicle there may be storage compartments, you know, cab doors, mechanic toolboxes, hitches, or any other number of devices that require a lock and key. So that can obviously add up to a lot of different keys, and a somewhat of a headache as far as management of key inventory, etc. This is obviously a huge advantage in that regard. Secondly, we kind of already discussed the sidebar technology. This is a superior lock set from the standpoint of the anti-picking deterrent. Third, as far as OEMs are concerned, I mentioned that this is applicable to GM, Ford, Chrysler, Toyota. It really simplifies the assembly process. These lock cylinders can be shipped in bulk because you no longer have to attach keys with them, meaning you don't have to manage that process down an assembly line. You can simply put the lock cylinders into a handle or compartment or what have you, and walk down the assembly line and mechanically engage the cylinder, and it learns that ignition key. So you can key an entire work truck to one ignition key. So beyond the benefits and some of the components, I mentioned I wanted to discuss coating of the cylinder itself. I'd like to demonstrate that with a padlock that I have of my own. Within here, you can see there's the coatable lock in there within the padlock, contained within the padlock. So I'm going to use I have a Jeep Commander. I'm going to use my ignition key here, and I insert it. So I'm fully inserted. And there, by the way, there is an anti-rotation block contained within all coatable lock cylinders that you have to get to the home position or fully inserted before you can begin rotating. Okay, so I'm fully inserted here, and now I basically take this and rotate my key, and now I've unlocked that padlock. Okay, alright, So I'm going to extract my key. Lock it back up. I'm going to take another Chrysler base key. This is just a stamped key. So it's Chrysler based, but it's a, when I say Chrysler based, I'm referring to the tip. This is a Groove 84, Groove 85 keyway. Okay. And insert it. You can see that I'm fully inserted here, but I'm not allowed to rotate the key. So in other words, I don't have access to this compartment, this padlock, toolbox, or what have you. Okay. So now going back to the display model here, I've taken the liberty to, again, I used my ignition key here, and I can insert this here. Okay, and you can see I'm inserted completely to the home position. Now, when you code a codeable cylinder, you would rotate a full 180 degrees. Now, since I've already done this with my ignition key, it's only going 90. But theoretically, it would rotate to this position, and then it would learn that key. Okay, so then I would rotate back, and now I'm at the home position, or the 12 o'clock position. And when the cylinder learns the key, this back driver engages with the cylinder itself, which creates that, previously it was, call it, free from the cylinder, but once you've rotated a full 180, now it knows that given key. Okay, so here's unlocked, locked, unlocked, 90 degrees, locked, back to 12. So 12 to 3. Okay, and if I was coding it, it would go from all the way to the 6 o'clock position. Okay, so I go back, I'm going to take this other Chrysler base key. You can see I'm completely inserted again. But again, I'm not allowed to rotate. Okay, so that's how the coding takes place. So again, the intent of this video was to review some of the codeable cylinder's components, discuss some of its benefits, and walk through the coding procedure. Thank you.